Go pick up two 2x4s, pick up actually more than two, but only use two. Break one, use a different one, and get after it.
Modern Maker Podcast is doing a 2x4 challenge? That'd be cool to do, but I wonder what I should do for it though.
That's easy. You should do something geeky. No. You always do geeky stuff. You should do something more functional. No, but geeky's way more fun. But functional is way more functional. I'm telling you, geeky. One word, functional. A better word, geeky. No, functional. Okay. Geeky and functional.
And for this challenge, I made 2 folding chairs, a folding table, and a pixel picture frame. For materials, I used, 2 2x4s, a piece of 1/4-inch plywood, and a 1/2-inch dowel. To try and get the most out of the 2 2x4s, I first cut the 2x4s into 1x4s, ran them through a joiner, and then planed them so that all 4 pieces would be even. Initially, I only thought I would be able to make 1 chair and a table out of the 2x4s, but as I started measuring and cutting out all the pieces for the first chair, I realized I had quite a bit left over using just 1 strip of wood for the chair. With the pieces cut, I set my table saw and then ripped the legs and the support pieces in half. I took a 1/2-inch bit and drilled a hole 3/4 of an inch down from the top of the legs and the support pieces that the dowels could fit into, and then drilled holes in the middle of the legs for the shorter piece dowels. I then took a 3/8-inch blade and drilled holes in the support pieces for the screws, making sure to match the depth on each piece. With all the pieces cut out, I started fitting the pieces and the dowels together. I figured out a placement for 1/2 of the seat, and after drilling it in, I flipped the whole thing over and drilled in the other half of the seat, and then tested it out. I took the crossbar pieces and marked the locations for the screws, and then drilled the holes out and screwed them into the chair. With the crossbars on the legs, it's pretty stable at this point, but since the edges of the support pieces keep the seat from laying flat, I took the whole thing apart and sanded the edges down to ensure that the seat lays flat. Since everything else was already apart, I marked an angle for the bottom of the leg so that they can lay flat, and set my saw to 36 degrees to cut the bottoms of the leg pieces. After putting everything together, I tested it to make sure that the seat sat flat, and then tried it out. After doing that whole process over again, I got 2 chairs. I had to take everything apart again at this point to get the pieces ready to paint. Because apparently that is my MO for wood projects. I thought the wood left over from the 2 boards from cutting out the chair pieces was a good length for the tabletop. So I cut them to be even, and then I measured out and cut a 3rd piece to make the tabletop deeper than the chairs. I cut out the rest of the pieces for the table, ripped the 3rd piece of the tabletop in half, and ripped the legs and support pieces just like I did for the chairs. The only difference this time being that I made the legs for the table 22 inches tall. I then drilled pocket holes and glued and connected the 2 ripped tabletop pieces to the 2 other tabletop pieces. Then I put everything together to make sure it all fit right, and then disassembled the table. I really like that farm table look that's pretty popular nowadays, and so I took and painted the legs and the support pieces white and stained the tabletop and the dowels an espresso color. While those dried, I took the wood that I had left over and ripped it all down to 5/8-inch strips, and then cut out 4 pieces to make a 12 by 12 frame. I glued it all up and then took my 1/4-inch plywood and cut out a square for the backing of the frame. I then glued the frame to the backing. For the rest of the strips, I clamped down a piece of wood on my saw to gauge out 5/8 of an inch and cut down the rest of the wood into cubes. And I mean a lot of cubes. I needed at least 256 cubes to make the pixel picture. I then had to sand all of them down. I set aside 140 to be painted blue, 24 to be painted white, 8 painted black, and I left 84 of them blank. Then I took my cubes and started to fill in the frame. And with that, it was done. I really like how it all turned out, and I was actually really surprised that I was able to build this much out of just 2 2x4s.